Beloved chosen one, heaven has paused time itself to reach you. The noise around you fades. The endless scroll stops. And in this very breath, your spirit begins to tremble because you can feel it. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. This is your miracle Sunday. Heaven has unlocked what was once sealed. And the sound you hear echoing through your soul is the trumpet of awakening. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to be marked by fire, called by name, and set apart for a divine purpose. You feel it deep within the pull, the whisper, the sacred stillness that says, "This is your moment." For too long, you have carried burdens that seemed invisible to others, but heavy to your soul. Every sleepless night, every prayer whispered into darkness, every tear that fell uncounted, it has all reached heaven. And now, the heavens respond. Listen carefully, for this moment is holy. You have been fighting battles that others couldn't see, wars of the mind, storms of the heart, shadows that whispered lies. Yet even in silence, you endured. Even when you felt forgotten, you stood your ground. You were never overlooked. You were being fortified. The fire did not burn you, it purified you. As the ancient words declare in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." And now, chosen one, this word unfolds before your eyes. You are rising not because the world permits it, but because heaven commands it. This is the hour when divine reversal meets earthly reality. This is not merely another Sunday. This is your miracle Sunday, where the unseen becomes visible, and the impossible becomes your testimony. You are not late. You are right on time. The delay was not denial, it was divine timing. Heaven waited until this day, this very Sunday, to open what was sealed. Every spiritual gate that resisted your breakthrough is trembling, because your obedience, your faith, and your endurance have drawn heaven's attention. The angels that once stood in silence now move in formation. The time of watching has ended. The time of receiving has begun. You may not feel ready, but grace never waits for your perfection. It meets you in surrender. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to respond. Lift your heart in agreement. Even if your words tremble, whisper where you are, "I receive what heaven has released." The act of faith in this moment is what seals the miracle. Do not overthink it. Simply obey the pull in your spirit. Chosen one, this message is not for the crowd, it is for you. The evidence will follow your obedience. The heavens are open, the gates are unlocked, and your name has been called. From this day forward, you will see movement in places that once felt lifeless. You will feel joy where sorrow once lingered, and the peace of God, the kind that surpasses understanding, will guard your heart like a shield. Now, as this word settles in your soul, act in faith. If this message resonates with your spirit, do not let the moment pass silently. Lift your voice in agreement, like, share, and comment as a public act of faith, declaring that you receive your miracle Sunday. And if you have not yet joined this divine circle of faith, subscribe and stay connected to the flow of heaven's word. This is not entertainment. This is your confirmation. Your miracle Sunday has begun. Heaven has unlocked your blessing. The sound of the trumpet is not a call for tomorrow. it is for now. Comment 777 below to declare, "My miracle Sunday has come." You have carried more than most. Chosen one. The weight you bore was never meant to crush you, it was shaping you. Heaven saw every silent struggle. Every time you smiled while your soul trembled. Every time you stood when you could have fallen. The world may never understand the magnitude of what you endured, but God does. You were never meant to carry it forever. You were meant to grow stronger beneath it until the right time came for release. And now, the heavens whisper that time is now. There were moments when you asked, "Why me?" Moments when the load seemed unfair. But what you thought was punishment was actually preparation. Each trial carved out a deeper capacity for faith. Each disappointment purified your motives. Each heartbreak made space for a greater measure of glory. You were being refined in hidden fire, not destroyed by it. The ashes of what was lost are becoming the soil for what will bloom next. Every tear that fell was noticed. Not one drop was wasted. In the silence of your suffering, heaven was documenting your endurance. You are standing here today not because you were lucky, but because you were chosen. The pain was part of your ordination. Your struggles did not disqualify you, they confirmed your assignment. You are not just a survivor, you are a vessel of divine purpose, forged in the heat of adversity. The Spirit wants you to understand that not all storms come to destroy. Some come to reveal what cannot be shaken. What you faced was not random, it was orchestrated to draw out the strength that heaven placed within you before you were even born. The same fire that tried to consume you became the forge that produced your authority. Every burden you carried was a sacred classroom where your faith was taught to endure beyond reason. The ancient words recorded by the apostles still speak today in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Chosen one. If you could see what heaven sees, you would understand why the pressure had to be so great. The calling on your life required a foundation that could not crack under weight. That's why others could quit easily, but you couldn't. You were marked to withstand storms others would flee from. You were built differently, not because you wanted to be, but because God destined you to carry light into dark places. Even now, as you look back on the path behind you, something in you begins to recognize the pattern. You see how every closed door protected you, how every delay positioned you. The heartbreaks that once broke your spirit now make sense. They redirected you toward promise. The betrayals that once wounded you taught you to trust heaven more than people. What once felt like loss was simply divine exchange. Do not despise the weight you carried. It was holy. That weight was heaven's way of shaping a warrior. It taught you endurance, humility, and discernment. You were being sculpted into someone who can hold blessings without breaking under them. The pressure has now lifted because the work in you is complete for this season. You stand lighter now, stronger, and ready for the unveiling that follows. Heaven has taken note of your endurance. The God who saw you cry in secret is now preparing to reward you openly. The pain was the price for the authority you now carry. What once felt like breaking was, in truth, your becoming. There is a stirring in the heavens tonight. Chosen one. You can almost sense it, the atmosphere feels charged, as if something unseen has begun to unfold on your behalf. This is not imagination, this is revelation. Heaven's scroll with your name written upon it has been unsealed. The promises that once lingered in waiting are being read aloud in the courts of heaven. What was delayed is now being declared. Your destiny is being spoken into motion. You may not hear it with your ears, but your spirit feels the vibration of divine announcement. The same voice that spoke stars into existence is calling your name again. Heaven has convened on your behalf. Every tear, every act of faith, every sacrifice that seemed unnoticed has now reached the throne. The books are being opened. The season of silence has ended, and the era of manifestation begins now. There is movement among angels, assignments being activated, alignments being restored. The barriers that once kept your blessings from finding you are dissolving. The scroll of your life is being unfolded, line by line, revealing divine intentions that were always there, waiting for this moment of maturity and readiness. Nothing that was promised has been forgotten. Nothing that belongs to you will remain withheld. As was written in the sacred book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 1, "Then I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written within and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. And now, chosen one of those seals has been broken for your sake. What was hidden is being revealed. What was delayed is being released. The scroll carries your name, your purpose, your destiny signed, sealed, and now read aloud in the presence of angels. Can you feel it? Heaven is shifting. The old season is folding away like parchment, and the new one is unfurling with light. The spiritual scroll is not just a symbol. It is a contract between you and heaven. Within it lies the confirmation of everything you have prayed for: restoration, healing, open doors, divine favor. What seemed forgotten was simply reserved. The moment you receive this revelation with faith, the ink of heaven dries on your behalf. Your yes becomes your signature. That's why hesitation cannot exist here, only agreement. When heaven speaks, it does not negotiate, it decrees. You are being invited into divine partnership, where your belief seals what heaven releases. Chosen one, this is not a message meant to entertain you. It is a summons from heaven. When you hear this truth and your spirit bears witness, that is confirmation. You were present for this exact moment because the scroll has reached your name in the sequence of divine timing. Nothing is random. Everything is synchronized. Now take this moment not as a coincidence, but as your confirmation. Heaven's decree has already been spoken. Your only task is to respond, to align your words with what God has already declared over you. A silent heart receives nothing, but a faithful confession activates everything. So, as a prophetic act of agreement, declare your faith in the comments below. Type, "It is done." Do not underestimate the power of those 3 words. When you write them, you are not typing for social media. You are sealing heaven's decree with your earthly consent. The scroll has been opened. Your name has been read. And the next chapter of your destiny begins with that confession of faith. The vision continues. Chosen one, the scroll that was unrolled before your spirit now reveals another mystery, something radiant and heavy with authority. You see it clearly, a hand extended from light, holding keys that glimmer like living fire. They are not made of metal, but of divine essence, each one marked with purpose, timing, and favor. These are the keys of divine release, and heaven has chosen to place them in your hand. You tremble, not from fear, but from the weight of what this means. Every closed door, every denied opportunity, Every unanswered prayer, these were not signs of abandonment, but signs that you did not yet carry the key. You were never locked out. You were simply being prepared to hold the authority to open what once resisted you. The air around you feels charged, as if creation itself waits for you to turn the lock. You realize that heaven does not hand keys to those who are careless, but to those who have been tested in silence and proven faithful when unseen. The seasons of waiting were not wasted, they were sacred training. The pain of delay was sharpening your discernment. The discipline of trust was teaching you timing. And now, chosen one, the voice that echoes through eternity speaks again. You hear it within your spirit, gentle, yet absolute. What I open, no one can shut. And what I shut, no one can open. You feel that truth burning inside you, the way revelation burns when it becomes personal. This is your commissioning moment, when heaven entrusts you with authority to unlock what belongs to you and to close what no longer serves your destiny. As the Gospel records in the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 19, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Those words are not ancient echoes, they are current truth, living and active within you now. Heaven's authority flows through your obedience. The power to open and close, to release and to restrain, has been delegated to your faith. Think about it. Chosen one, you no longer stand helpless before closed doors. The fear that once paralyzed, you must now bow to the authority you carry. You have the power to unlock peace when anxiety knocks, to release favor when scarcity surrounds, to shut the door on doubt when it whispers defeat. The keys you hold represent spiritual jurisdiction, a divine partnership where heaven responds to your agreement. Every key in your hand corresponds to a promise once spoken over you. One unlocks healing, another restoration, another financial breakthrough, another reconciliation. They have been waiting in the treasury of heaven for this appointed time. And now, as you recognize them, doors begin to yield, obstacles begin to soften, resistance begins to break. You are no longer waiting for permission to walk in your purpose. Heaven has already signed the decree. The authority has shifted from someday to now. The keys are yours to wield through prayer, faith, and declaration. But remember, these are not for personal comfort alone. They are for kingdom purpose. You are entrusted to unlock blessings not just for yourself, but for those connected to you. The more you use these keys in alignment with love and humility, the more access heaven grants you. You are stepping into a new rhythm of authority, where every word you speak carries weight. This is what it means to be chosen, not only to receive miracles, but to release them. Heaven has trusted you with access. The locks of limitation are trembling because the keeper of the keys now stands in faith. The atmosphere around you begins to shift. Chosen one, what once felt like immovable walls now tremble at the sound of heaven's decree. You can almost hear the echo of divine footsteps. Something is breaking, something ancient and invisible that held you bound for too long. The season of delay is ending. The weight that once pressed you down is being lifted. Every spiritual chain that once kept you from your purpose is shattering under divine fire. You have prayed for this, waited for this, cried for this. You have asked when the promise would come, when the silence would end. And now, heaven whispers, now. This is the breaking of delay. The battle you fought in private has reached the throne, and God Himself has stepped into your situation. The resistance you felt was never stronger than His word. It only existed to test the strength of your belief. The ancient prophet wrote in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, it will surely come. It will not delay." Those words are not poetry, they are prophecy. The appointed time you once thought was far away has arrived. The waiting season that shaped you is concluding. You are stepping into a realm where what you prayed for becomes what you live in. Sometimes, delays feel like denials because our hearts grow weary. But God never forgets what He promises. He watches the clock of heaven, waiting for the exact second when your faith and His timing align. When that alignment comes, no obstacle can resist it. The locks break, the doors open, and the momentum of divine favor carries you forward. That is what is happening now. You are moving from waiting to walking, from promise to possession. You are not behind. You are in perfect sync with heaven. What seemed slow was actually sacred. While you were waiting, God was preparing the room for your arrival. While you were crying, He was building the stage where your testimony will echo. Nothing was wasted, not a moment, not a prayer, not a tear. Every delay has become a seed for the breakthrough that is now blooming around you. Chosen one. There is something holy about this moment. You can sense it. Can't you? The air feels different. The heaviness has lifted. Heaven is calling you to step forward, not in hesitation, but in gratitude. You have endured the waiting, and now the waiting has ended. It's time to breathe again, to believe again, to hope again. As this word finds its home in your spirit, let it also find a voice in your gratitude. When you share what touches your soul, you multiply its reach. When you express what heaven has done, you open the way for others to receive the same grace. So if this message speaks to something deep within you, take a moment to act with faith, like, share, and subscribe as a simple, sincere offering of thanks. You are not promoting a message, you are extending the sound of deliverance. You are helping heaven's word reach another weary heart still waiting for their release. You never know who is one message away from hope. Your small act of sharing might be the key that breaks another's chain. Let gratitude move you to obedience. Not out of obligation, but out of joy, because when heaven breaks delay in one life, it ripples through many. Chosen one, rejoice. The breaking has come. The vision no longer waits. Heaven's timing has arrived. The atmosphere that once felt heavy now begins to flow with movement. Chosen one, what once resisted you now runs toward you. The river that seemed dry is rushing again, but this time it moves in your favor. Everything that was once working against you has turned around. Heaven has issued a command of reversal, what the enemy meant for harm. God is transforming into glory. This is the river of reversal, and its current carries restoration, favor, and divine recompense. You may not have noticed it yet, but heaven has already shifted direction. The tide has turned. The energy that once pulled you back now propels you forward. Places that rejected you will soon welcome you. Opportunities that vanished will reappear with greater promise. The mistakes you thought disqualified you are being rewritten as testimonies of grace. God is not just restoring what was lost, He is multiplying it. Remember how long you prayed for change, wondering if the tears, the fasting, the faithfulness even mattered. Heaven replies, today they did. None of it vanished into the void. Every act of obedience was a stone cast into still water. And now the waves are returning to you as blessings. This is the divine rhythm, sowing in sorrow, reaping in joy, losing for a season, gaining for eternity. The divine current that once seemed still now flows with your name upon it. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 126, verse 1, "When the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream." And so it is with you now. What once felt impossible will soon feel surreal. The heaviness you carried for years will vanish as if it never existed. The same tears that once burned your cheeks in despair will soon fall in awe. The river does not flow aimlessly, it moves with precision. Every drop knows its destination. Likewise, every moment of your life is finding divine alignment. What once leaked through your hands will now overflow into your cup. The energy that seemed wasted is returning as strength. The years that seemed lost are returning as acceleration. God is not merely compensating you, He is overcompensating you. He is making the enemy regret ever touching your destiny. Chosen one. This reversal is not random. It is heaven's deliberate move to remind you that nothing is ever too far gone when grace enters the story. You are standing in the middle of divine payback. You are walking through a reversal that will leave witnesses speechless. The doors that were shut are not just opening, they are swinging wide in your honor. The tables are turning, and the seat prepared for you cannot be filled by another. This is the time to stand in faith and bear witness to your own redemption. When this river touches your life, it changes everything. It encounters your relationships, your finances, your peace, your purpose. You are stepping into the current of abundance. Heaven is restoring flow where there was drought, laughter where there was mourning, clarity where there was confusion. So, as a prophetic act of faith, let heaven know that you receive the reversal. Type 888 inches, the comments below. This number symbolizes new beginnings, multiplied cycles completed, and destinies renewed. When you declare it, you are aligning your faith with the movement of heaven's current. You are saying, I step into the flow. Chosen one, the river is moving. Step into it. Let what once resisted you now carry you. The reversal has begun, and it bears your name. The river has carried you far. Chosen one. Yet something deeper now begins to stir a voice behind the veil. It is not thunderous like before. It does not shake the mountains or tear through the sky. It is a whisper, and yet this whisper carries the weight of eternity. You can feel it in your chest, like the still wind before dawn. It does not demand your attention through volume, but through intimacy. It knows you by name. This voice is not new, it has always been near, guiding, warning, comforting. But the noise of the world, the weight of distraction, the rush of fear, it often drowned it out. Now, in this stillness, you begin to hear again. The voice behind the veil has never stopped speaking. You had only forgotten how to listen. It calls you gently but firmly. It does not flatter, it convicts. It does not soothe your ego, it awakens your purpose. It reminds you that you were not chosen for comfort, but for calling. It says, obey. Even when you don't understand. Move. Even when you can't see. Trust. Even when you can't feel. These are not suggestions, they are sacred instructions from the throne. You realize now that heaven's greatest miracles do not begin with noise, they begin with whispers. The loudest confirmation is often silence filled with presence. The same voice that spoke to Moses from the burning bush, to Samuel in the temple, and to Elijah in the cave, now speaks to you in this moment of stillness. It calls you not to do more, but to be more, to be still, to be faithful, to be listening. As it was spoken in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. You are not lost. Chosen one, you are known." Heaven does not shout instructions into chaos, it speaks directly into obedience. God's voice is not distant, it is precise. It knows exactly where to find you, exactly what to say, exactly when to speak. There is a sacred weight that falls upon those who hear and respond. For the voice of God is never casual, it always carries assignment. Sometimes that assignment will call you to stay when you want to leave. Sometimes it will send you into unfamiliar places with no map except faith. Yet every time you choose obedience, heaven expands your authority. Every time you follow, even trembling, the kingdom advances through you. The voice behind the veil is personal. It doesn't speak to the crowd, it speaks to you. It does not compete for your attention, it waits until you are still enough to receive it. And when it speaks, peace follows. Confusion dissolves. Fear evaporates. Because the voice of God never brings chaos, it brings clarity. Even his silence is strategic. Perhaps you have questioned whether you can still hear him after the storms, the mistakes, the noise. But the truth is this, his voice never left. It has always lingered, waiting for your spirit to quiet enough to notice. Heaven is patient, not absent. The whisper is returning now, clearer than before. Listen closely. Chosen one. The veil that once separated divine guidance from your understanding is lifting. You are stepping into a season where discernment becomes natural, where peace becomes confirmation, and where every step you take feels guided by unseen hands. The same voice that spoke light into darkness now speaks direction into your uncertainty. The voice behind the veil does not need to explain itself, because it carries the certainty of eternity. Trust it. Follow it. Let it lead you beyond comfort and into destiny. Heaven speaks softly, but with authority. And those who listen, truly listen, change the world. The whisper you heard behind the veil has awakened something inside you. Chosen one. It has stirred your spirit into awareness. And as you stand still beneath heaven's gaze, you sense another shift, sudden, swift, unstoppable. The air around you vibrates with divine acceleration. Heaven is no longer moving at the pace of your patience, but at the speed of prophecy. The season of waiting has given way to the season of movement. You can feel it, everything is happening faster now. What used to take years begins to align in days. The prayers you thought had been shelved are suddenly being answered. People cross your path as if guided by unseen hands. Opportunities that once required your chasing now pursue you. You have entered into the current of divine speed. The moment when heaven's timeline intersects with yours. Do not mistake this acceleration for chaos. It is not confusion, it is fulfillment. Heaven is not rushing, it is revealing. The delay has ended because you are now mature enough to manage the miracle. What once would have crushed you will now carry you. You have passed through the refining. And now, heaven entrusts you with momentum. This is the season when God redeems time itself, returning to you the years that felt lost. The sacred text records in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 2, "And suddenly there came from heaven a sound as of a rushing mighty wind." That same suddenly is moving through your life now. The spirit that once hovered is now propelling. The wind of heaven does not move without purpose. It comes to fill, to ignite, to accelerate. It is the breath of divine speed, stirring what was dormant and quickening what seemed dead. This sudden acceleration is not random, it is a response. Heaven moves swiftly when it finds alignment on earth. Your obedience has created an open runway for miracles. The pace of favor increases when the posture of your heart stays humble. Acceleration without surrender leads to collapse. But acceleration under submission leads to destiny fulfilled. That is why God waited, so that your character could sustain your calling. There is a holy rhythm to divine timing. And now you are moving in step with it. You will notice divine coincidences, multiplying emails arriving just when you needed them, connections forming effortlessly, solutions appearing in moments where you once struggled for answers. This is not luck. It is the choreography of heaven. The same God who commanded the Red Sea to part is now parting the congestion in your life, making a way where there was none. Chosen one. When heaven accelerates you, it also refines your focus. Not everything can keep up with this new pace. Some relationships, habits, or distractions will fall away, not because you failed, but because they cannot run at this speed. Do not grieve what leaves, rejoice in what remains. God is lightening your load so that you can travel faster toward purpose. The angel of acceleration has been assigned to your path. This heavenly envoy clears the way, shortens the distance, and redeems what was lost in delay. Where others crawl, you will soar. Where others struggle, you will glide. Not because you are better, but because you are chosen and surrendered. Heaven does not waste momentum on rebellion, it releases it to obedience. You are entering the era of suddenly. Miracles will happen in clusters. Answers will overtake you before you finish asking. The Spirit of God is breathing speed into every area aligned with His will. Do not fear the pace, embrace it. The same wind that drives you forward will also sustain you. Chosen one. The sound you hear is the sound of divine acceleration. The suddenly of heaven is here. Stand firm, move swiftly, and trust the wind. The pace of heaven has increased. Chosen one. And now you find yourself standing at a sacred crossroads. On one side lies comfort, the safety of what is familiar. On the other stands calling, the unknown path that requires complete surrender. This moment is not ordinary, it is divine. You are being summoned to choose, not merely with words, but with your life. The Spirit is near, whispering softly yet unmistakably, "Now is the time." This is the threshold moment where your decision determines destiny. Heaven has prepared everything, but nothing moves until you do. The angels are waiting for your yes. The doors are ready to open, but heaven requires consent from your faith. You can feel the tension within you, the pull between fear and faith, hesitation and obedience. This is not a test of your worth, it is a test of your will. God will not force your hand, for love never manipulates. He invites you to trust, to believe that the unseen hand leading you has already secured the victory ahead. The sacred text speaks clearly in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, "Choose you this day whom ye will serve." That same command reverberates through the corridors of time, reaching you here and now. The choice is not theoretical, it is spiritual, immediate, eternal. Every miracle requires a moment of decision. Every promise demands a posture of agreement. Do not let the noise of the world trick you into hesitation. Every delay in obedience delays the blessing. Every moment spent doubting what you already know in your spirit costs you momentum. God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for participation. When you move, heaven moves with you. When you speak, heaven responds. When you decide, destiny begins to unfold. This is the moment where heaven watches in silence, not because God is distant, but because He honors your freedom. He has prepared the way, yet He will not drag you down it. The miracle begins only when you take the first step. You may feel the trembling of uncertainty, but even that trembling is sacred. It means your heart still believes. You are standing between hesitation and obedience, and one whisper of faith can shift everything. The presence around you feels thick, holy, expectant. The air itself seems to wait for your response. Heaven does not ask you to prove your strength, only your trust. What if the step you fear the most is the one that leads you to everything you've prayed for? What if your surrender today becomes someone else's breakthrough tomorrow? So take this moment and breathe. Let faith answer where logic hesitates. Let trust speak louder than fear. God's invitation stands before you, not to a life of ease, but to a life of meaning. The decision may seem small now, but its echo will reach eternity. As a prophetic sign of your agreement, make your choice visible in the simplest way possible. Type "I obey." When you write those words, you are doing more than leaving a comment. You are releasing a declaration into the spiritual atmosphere. You are aligning your earthly voice with heaven's command. Every time someone reads it, the echo of your faith strengthens theirs. Heaven records obedience, even in small acts, and turns it into acceleration. Chosen one. The crossroad is not a trap, it is an invitation. Heaven stands ready to move, but the key remains in your hand. Whisper your yes, declare your faith, step into obedience, and watch the doors of destiny swing wide before you. The choice has been made. Chosen one, heaven has witnessed your surrender, and with it, a new chapter begins to unfold. Yet even as you take your first steps into this calling, you begin to sense a sacred tension, the meeting place of glory and sacrifice, of promise and process. It is here, between the crown and the cross, that true destiny is shaped. You have seen the visions of triumph, the glimpses of what God has promised. But now He teaches you that before the crown comes the cross. Before the elevation comes the breaking. The crown represents your purpose, but the cross represents your obedience. You cannot carry one without first embracing the other. It is written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verse 23, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me." These are not just words, they are the path. The crown may glitter, but it is the cross that gives it weight. The anointing you carry was not cheap. It was purchased through surrender. You have felt the pain of letting go of relationships, habits, and desires that once brought comfort, but now hinder growth. Each sacrifice was a silent yes to heaven, a step closer to purpose. God saw those moments when you obeyed even while breaking, when you gave even while grieving, when you stayed faithful even when unseen. These are the moments that forge true greatness. Chosen one, understand this: your cross is not your punishment, it is your preparation. It is the altar where your will meets His. The deeper you surrender, the higher He can lift you. The cross does not end in death, it ends in resurrection. You are not losing yourself. You are discovering who you were meant to be all along. You stand now in that holy tension between suffering and glory. And heaven smiles because you are learning the rhythm of divine maturity. The world celebrates crowns, but heaven crowns the surrendered. This is why you feel both pain and peace in the same breath, because destiny is stretching you to fit the glory you are about to carry. You have walked through the valley, carried the weight, and faced rejection. But now, resurrection draws near. What once hurt you will now honor you. What once broke you will now build you. God wastes nothing, not even pain. Every trial has become the scaffolding for the palace He is constructing within you. And as this truth settles into your soul, take a breath of gratitude. You are not alone in this process. Many have walked the narrow road before you, but few have chosen to endure it with faith. You are among the few who refuse to let go of hope. So, as you walk this path between the cross and the crown, take a small act of faith to spread this flame. If this word resonates with your spirit, share it not for applause, but for alignment. Like this message as a declaration that you receive it. Share it so another weary soul can find strength to carry their cross. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Not for numbers, but to remain connected to the flow of heaven's word. Every act of sharing is a ripple in eternity. You never know whose midnight your obedience will illuminate. Chosen one, wear your cross with courage. The crown is already waiting. The breaking is nearly over. The rising has begun. There is a peace that follows obedience. Chosen one, a quiet assurance that settles deep in the soul when faith finally aligns with heaven's rhythm. You've walked through the valley of surrender, carried your cross without complaint, and now something begins to stir around you. The spiritual atmosphere feels alive with confirmation. It is no longer a question of if God heard you, but a matter of when His promises manifest. And that when is now. Signs are beginning to form, small yet undeniable. Conversations that seem random carry prophetic weight. Encounters that feel ordinary turn divine in retrospect. You begin to realize that nothing around you is coincidence. The very air seems to hum with awareness, as though creation itself is conspiring to remind you that your prayers have reached fulfillment. Heaven has a way of confirming what your heart already knows, not through thunder, but through precision. A message, a phrase, a glimpse each moment whispers, "See, I told you I was faithful." What you once hoped for in faith begins to take shape before your eyes. The things you released in tears are returning in joy. The promises that seemed delayed are now arriving right on divine schedule. You remember the moments of doubt, the nights when silence felt like abandonment. Yet now, looking back, you see how even silence was strategic. It was God's way of making you lean on trust rather than evidence. Every unanswered question was molding your faith into steel. Every delay was adding depth to your dependence. And now, that endurance bears fruit. the harvest of unwavering faith. As written in the book of Psalms, chapter 118, verse 23. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. These words echo through your life right now. You no longer strive to make things happen. You stand in awe as they unfold. The doors that were once bolted shut now swing open effortlessly. The situations that seemed unsolvable unravel with divine ease. The how no longer matters because you finally understand the who. Chosen one. Heaven has begun to confirm your identity publicly. What you carried in secret, faith, integrity, endurance, is now being acknowledged openly. The same people who questioned your silence will soon witness your testimony. The same hands that pointed at your struggle will applaud your strength. God is vindicating you, not with words, but with outcomes. But understand, this confirmation is not the conclusion, it is the continuation. The miracle you see now is not the finish line. It is the signpost reminding you that you are walking the right path. Divine confirmation is heaven's way of whispering, "Keep going. I am still with you." Even now, you can feel the shift within yourself. The old doubts no longer fit. The fears that once shouted loud now sound distant, powerless. There's a calmness that only revelation brings, a deep knowing that what God has started cannot fail. Every fiber of your being agrees with heaven's decree. It is done. You begin to walk differently, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. You understand now that confirmation is not given to boost your pride, but to strengthen your trust. The miracle is not in the visible outcome, it is in the invisible alignment between your heart and God's will. This peace will follow you into every decision. It will guide you when the next challenge arises, and when the next door opens, you will walk through it with quiet authority, remembering that signs do not create faith, faith creates signs. Chosen one, the proof has arrived. Heaven has spoken in whispers, and the earth now echoes the sound. Stand still in awe. Watch as the invisible becomes visible. For this right here, right now, is the Lord's doing. And truly, it is marvelous in your eyes. Night has fallen, chosen one. But this darkness is different. It does not come to destroy, it comes to reveal. There is a divine stirring that happens at midnight, when the world grows still enough for heaven to move without resistance. It is the hour of divine reversals, where endings become beginnings, and what was meant to harm you becomes the foundation of your miracle. This is your midnight reversal. You have stood through long nights before, the kind that seemed endless, filled with questions, tears, and silence. You have endured seasons where prayers felt unanswered, where hope flickered like a candle in the wind. But heaven wants you to understand, the darkest hour is never the final one. Midnight is not the end of a day, it is the beginning of a new one. It only looks dark because the light has not yet caught up to your obedience. Something shifts when faith refuses to sleep. Heaven honors those who praise in pain, who worship while waiting, who speak hope in the presence of despair. The midnight hour becomes holy ground when your faith stands taller than your fear. You are standing on that ground now, the moment where divine power begins to turn what was against you into what will build you. The ancient story records in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 25. At midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And just like them, your midnight song has been heard. The very walls that once confined you are beginning to tremble. The chains that once limited you are losing their strength. Your praise is not just worship, it is warfare. This is the hour of the unseen turnaround. What you thought was over is beginning again. The relationships that died without closure, the dreams buried by disappointment, the opportunities that seemed lost, each is being rewritten by divine hand. Heaven is not just restoring what was taken, it is multiplying it. The tables are turning swiftly, silently, supernaturally. You may not feel the movement yet, but trust that it is happening. Heaven's work at midnight is quiet but powerful. The ground shifts before the dawn arrives. The reversal begins before the announcement is made. You are not waiting for victory. Victory is already unfolding around you. Chosen one. This is not a random night. It has been appointed. The pain you endured, the endurance you carried, the tears you sowed, they have summoned heaven's response. God is not merely comforting you, He is correcting the imbalance of your past. The scales of injustice are tipping in your favor. The same midnight that once frightened you now becomes your evidence of favor. The Lord says to you now, what once broke you will bless you. What once delayed you will deliver you. You are witnessing the turnaround. Every spiritual prison that once confined your potential is opening not because of human intervention, but because heaven has declared enough is enough. And now, as a prophetic act of faith, let heaven see that you believe this word. Type 555 inches, the comments below. It represents divine transformation and grace multiplied, a signal that change is already in motion. When you write it, you are not marking a number. You are sealing your alignment with heaven's reversal. You are declaring, my midnight has become my beginning. Chosen one, the hour has come. The darkness is folding back. The dawn approaches carrying restoration, abundance, and proof that your endurance was not in vain. The midnight reversal is complete, and the new day has begun. Dawn is breaking. Chosen one, the long night has passed, and the first light of a new season begins to warm your soul. You sense it not just around you, but within you. The air feels lighter, the burdens smaller, and your spirit free. What you feel is not imagination, it is the result of an open heaven. The veil has thinned, and divine favor now pours like rain upon the soil of your faith. You've prayed for this moment, sometimes through tears, sometimes in silence, and though it came slowly, it came surely. Heaven was never late. It was aligning everything for this very release. The moment your heart reached full surrender, the floodgates opened. Now, blessings that were once delayed are descending all at once, like rivers converging into an ocean of fulfillment. This is what it feels like when heaven honors private faith publicly. The prayers you whispered when no one saw, the sacrifices you made quietly, the times you obeyed without applause, none of it went unnoticed. The God who sees in secret is now rewarding you openly. What you carried alone in darkness, you will now celebrate in light, as the word declares in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. That promise was not just for ancient days, it breathes again over your life right now. The windows of heaven have opened above you, and what is being poured out cannot be contained. But understand, chosen one, open heavens are not just about abundance, they are about assignment. When God pours, He doesn't pour randomly. He pours with purpose. The favor you receive is meant to flow through you. What falls into your life must spill into the lives of others. That is how heaven's economy works. Nothing stagnant, only flow. The blessings now rushing toward you are not simply rewards, they are resources, divine opportunities, sudden connections, supernatural provision, all sent to position you for greater impact. You were faithful with little. Now heaven trusts you with much. The harvest that was once hidden is being placed in your hands because heaven knows you will sow again. You are stepping into a time where answered prayers will meet divine surprises. What you expected will arrive, but alongside it will come what you never dared to imagine. God's generosity will exceed your preparation. The doors that open will reveal rooms larger than your capacity, but you will grow to fill them. This is the rhythm of open heaven. Provision follows obedience. Expansion follows faith. Even as you read these words, something within you begins to expand. Hope stretches where fear once lived. Vision sharpens where confusion once lingered. You are no longer asking, "When will it happen?" because it already is. The rain has begun, and you stand beneath it. Remember this: open heavens are maintained by open hearts. Stay humble, stay grateful, stay yielded. The same surrender that unlocked this outpouring will sustain it. Pride closes what humility opens. Keep your posture of wonder, your rhythm of worship, your awareness of grace. Chosen one, heaven has opened above you. The flood has begun, and as divine favor reigns, the world around you will witness the evidence of unseen faith now made visible. You are not chasing blessings anymore, they are finding you. The windows are open, the rain is falling, and your name is written in the storm of favor. The rain of favor has fallen. Chosen one. And now something extraordinary begins to happen. As the flood of blessing washes over your life, you begin to notice a transformation not just in circumstance, but in identity. You are not who you were before the breaking, before the waiting, before the testing. Heaven has begun what it calls the Great Exchange. It is not an exchange of possessions, it is an exchange of essence. Old identities, false labels, and heavy burdens are being lifted from you. The versions of yourself that were shaped by pain, fear, or rejection no longer have authority. You are being reintroduced to your true self, the one heaven always saw, even when the world did not. The voice of God whispers gently into this transition. You cannot step into new garments while clinging to ashes, and you understand it's time to let go. Time to release the narratives that kept you small, the wounds that convinced you to hide, the fear that made you settle. The great exchange requires open hands. You cannot receive if you are still clutching the remnants of yesterday. The sacred word speaks powerfully in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. This is not a metaphor, it is a metamorphosis. Heaven is not patching the old, it is replacing it. You are not being repaired, you are being reborn. Look closely at what is unfolding in your life. The people, opportunities, and places that once felt right may now feel foreign. Not because they have changed, but because you have. The spiritual fragrance you carry has shifted. You attract what aligns with your new identity. The frequency of your spirit has elevated, and not everything can survive at this altitude. Don't mourn what must fall away. The great exchange is not loss, it is liberation. God is exchanging your fear for boldness, your sorrow for laughter, your confusion for clarity. The doors that closed were not rejection, they were redirection into purpose. Even your past mistakes are being redeemed, their memories transformed into testimonies of grace. Heaven is rewriting your story in real time. Where there was shame, now there is authority. Where there was bondage, now there is blessing. You no longer walk as the wounded, you walk as the healed, the chosen, the commissioned. The same hands that once trembled under the weight of uncertainty now carry the oil of influence. But chosen one, remember this, every exchange carries responsibility. When heaven gives you beauty for ashes, it expects you to carry that beauty into the ashes of others. You are not just the recipient of transformation, you are now its messenger. The light that restored you was never meant to be hidden, it was meant to be multiplied. You are walking out of spiritual captivity, not as a survivor, but as a liberator. You have crossed the line between old and new, between wounded and whole, between waiting and walking. Every step now carries redemption's fragrance. Every word you speak releases healing to those still bound. This is the beauty of the great exchange. It doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes your nature. You are no longer defined by your past, but by your potential. The old has gone, the new has come. Chosen one, step boldly into your new name. Walk freely in your renewed skin. Heaven has traded your brokenness for brilliance, your sorrow for song. You are no longer who you were. Your spirit has been rewritten in heaven's language, and its echo now fills the earth. You have walked through transformation. Chosen one, you have endured the crushing, survived the silence, and stepped into the flow of divine identity. Now heaven sounds the trumpet once more, not to warn you this time, but to call you forth. The call to destiny has been released, and your name resounds in the courts of heaven like a victorious anthem. You can feel it deep within your spirit, the pull, the purpose, the urgency. Heaven is saying, rise, it's time. You are no longer being prepared in private, you are being positioned in purpose. Every lesson, every loss, every lonely night has shaped the mantle you now carry. You were not built for the shadows forever, you were built for light. The trumpet of destiny does not ask for permission, it commands alignment. Heaven reminds you through the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 14. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? These ancient words are no longer distant, they are directed at you. You are not here by accident. You were strategically placed, intentionally refined, and divinely positioned for this very moment in history. Heaven's plan always included you. This call is not about ambition, it is about assignment. God is not asking you to chase greatness, He is inviting you to embody it. Your destiny is not something you must earn, it is something you must awaken to. When you rise in obedience, heaven amplifies your voice. When you step in faith, angels move at your command. Your authority is not borrowed, it is bestowed. Destiny, however, is never fulfilled in isolation. Every flame needs connection, every message needs movement. The light that was kindled within you is meant to spread. When you testify, heaven multiplies. When you share what resonates, you participate in prophecy. The call to destiny becomes a chorus when every chosen one lifts their voice together. So if this word stirs your spirit, if something deep within you knows that it speaks your truth, respond with gratitude and faith. Like this message, not out of habit, but as a mark of agreement with heaven's timing. Share it, not for attention, but to extend the echo of divine calling across the earth. And if you haven't yet, subscribe not merely to follow, but to remain connected to the flow of these living words that heaven releases through this space. You are not a spectator in this move, you are part of the movement itself. And when you comment, let it be your declaration. Write what your spirit feels, led to say, perhaps I am chosen, or my time has come. Each word you release is not just seen by others, it is heard in heaven. The act of faith transforms ordinary words into prophetic confirmation. Heaven reads every declaration and seals it as testimony. Chosen one, this is your appointed time. The trumpet does not call everyone, it calls the ready. You are not behind, you are right on schedule. Heaven waited for you to stand, to believe, to say yes. So rise now, with confidence and humility. Walk forward, not looking back. Shine with the authority of one who was chosen before time began. Your destiny is no longer distant, it is unfolding right beneath your feet. The trumpet has sounded, and the heavens are watching your response. Something glorious is unfolding now. Chosen one, the stillness that once surrounded you has transformed into movement, an unstoppable current of blessing flowing in every direction. What once trickled now floods, what once delayed now accelerates. You are walking in the overflow manifestation, the divine moment when heaven's promises begin to multiply before your very eyes. Every seed you sowed in tears has begun to bloom. The prayers you whispered in uncertainty are now answered in abundance. Where you once lacked, now you overflow. It is not because of effort alone, but because grace has overtaken labor. What was once fought for is now freely flowing. You are standing beneath open skies, and every drop that falls carries purpose. This season is not simply about receiving, it is about recognizing. Overflow is not always loud, sometimes it is subtle, quiet, yet undeniable. It shows up in peace where there was once anxiety, in laughter where there was once grief, in unexpected provision that meets needs before you even ask. Heaven's abundance moves gently but completely, saturating every area of your life until lack has no place left to hide. The sacred text declares in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verse 38, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." Those words are not symbolic, they are reality made manifest. You are experiencing the running over, the divine surplus of a generous God who refuses to be outgiven. What you released in faith has returned multiplied, because heaven always honors generosity. This overflow is not limited to material things. It touches every dimension of your being. Relationships that once fractured are healing with supernatural ease. Creativity flows again where once you felt empty. Ideas, opportunities, and connections begin to converge with divine rhythm. You are not chasing provision anymore. Provision recognizes your obedience and comes running. And yet, in the midst of this abundance, you sense the holiness of it all. Overflow is not indulgence, it is invitation. God does not overflow your life so you can build comfort. He overflows it so you can build kingdom. Every extra blessing carries responsibility. Every increase carries instruction. Heaven trusts you because you have proven faithful in the small. The same humility that sustained you in scarcity will sustain you in abundance. Do not shrink back when the blessings multiply. The enemy would prefer you to doubt your worth, to question whether you deserve it. But heaven says you are worthy, not because of perfection, but because of purpose. The overflow is not a reward for performance, it is evidence of alignment. It reveals what happens when heaven and earth move in sync through the vessel of obedience. You will notice, chosen one, how effortlessly things begin to align. People begin to mention your name in rooms you've never entered. Paths clear before you arrive. What you need appears when you need it. This is not luck, it is divine order. The same God who multiplied loaves and fish now multiplies your efforts, your influence, and your impact. But the greatest sign of overflow is inward, not outward. It is the unexplainable peace that anchors your soul. You wake with gratitude before a reason appears. You smile not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand that everything is purposeful. That peace is heaven's signature on the abundance surrounding you. Chosen one, the overflow has come not to drown you, but to carry you. You are no longer striving for what belongs to you. It flows naturally, continuously, endlessly. Every breath you take now echoes with favor. Every step drips with promise. The river of blessing does not stop where you stand. It moves through you, touching lives, restoring hope, awakening hearts. Heaven's generosity is now your atmosphere. You don't just walk in blessing, you are the blessing. The overflow is your new normal, and grace will ensure it never runs dry. The river of blessing has carried you far. Chosen one. And now you stand before the final unveiling, the moment heaven has been preparing since the day it first whispered your name. The trials, the tears, the transformation, all of it has led here. The heavens open wider than ever before, and a light descends upon you unlike any you've ever felt. It is not harsh, it is holy. It does not blind, it reveals. This is the coronation of the chosen. You feel the stillness settle over creation, as if the entire universe pauses to witness what heaven is doing. Angels gather, not to test you this time, but to celebrate you. The voice that once instructed now announces. It declares not what you might become, but what you already are, chosen, crowned, and commissioned. The oil of divine recognition flows from the unseen realm, resting upon your head, sealing every promise with finality. You kneel in reverence, and as you do, a deep awareness fills your spirit. This crown is not for decoration, it is for dominion. It represents responsibility, not vanity. The authority it carries is not for control, but for service. You are not crowned to rule over people, you are crowned to carry heaven into the places where light has yet to reach. The voice of eternity speaks again, steady and sure, echoing the truth recorded in the second letter to Timothy. Chapter 4, verse 8. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. That day has come not in the distant afterlife, but in the unfolding now. Your crown is spiritual. but its evidence will manifest in every sphere you touch. Chosen one. This coronation is not a moment of pride, it is a mantle of purpose. Heaven is marking you as a carrier of light in dark places, a voice of truth in a world dulled by noise. You are called to reflect the majesty of the one who called you out of ashes and clothed you in glory. The fire you endured now burns as radiance around you. The pain you carried now glows as compassion within you. Every scar becomes a gem in your crown. Every loss a reminder of resilience. Every delay a testament to divine timing. The crown fits perfectly because it was shaped by your journey. What once felt like heaviness now feels like honor. The very hands that once trembled in weakness now rise in worship. Steady and strong, heaven smiles upon you. The hosts rejoice. The King himself extends his hand not to pull you up, but to walk beside you. You are no longer waiting for favor, you are walking in it. You no longer search for affirmation, you are heaven's affirmation in motion. Chosen one. Rise. The coronation is complete. The battle-tested soul has become the crowned vessel of glory. Walk in grace. Rule in love. And let the world see what heaven already knows. You are God's chosen. Crowned with purpose. Radiant with destiny. The story has come full circle. Chosen one. What began with awakening ends with coronation, and yet, this is not the end at all. It is the continuation of divine purpose flowing through you. You have heard heaven's call, walked through the refining fire, and risen crowned in grace. Now, your light belongs to the world. Heaven never writes stories for one heart alone. It writes them to awaken nations through a single obedient soul. The words you've read were not crafted merely to inspire, they were sent to confirm. You are part of a divine movement of chosen ones, marked by purpose and guided by faith. So, before you leave this sacred space, take a moment to respond in gratitude. If this message has spoken to your spirit, let heaven know it found fertile ground. Like this word as your silent Amen. Share it as your way of spreading light into someone else's darkness. Leave a comment below. Declare what resonated with you, what truth awakened in you. Your testimony may be the confirmation another soul is waiting for. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Stay connected to this flow of living words that keep heaven's voice near. The journey doesn't end here. It continues, glowing brighter with every believer who says yes.